Become dangerously focused. There is a version of you that the world is terrified of. Not the version that is motivated. Not the version that is inspired. Not the version that has a good plan or a clear vision or the right resources. The version that is focused. Completely. Ruthlessly. Dangerously focused. Because a focused human being is one of the most powerful forces in existence. History knows this. The Stoics knew this. And somewhere deep inside you, underneath the distraction, the noise, the endless fragmentation of modern life, you know this too. The problem is that almost no one is actually focused anymore. Not really. Not deeply. Not in the way that moves mountains and builds empires and produces the kind of work that outlasts a lifetime. People are busy. Constantly, exhaustingly, overwhelmingly busy. But busy is not focused. Busy is scattered energy wearing the costume of productivity. Busy is 10 tabs open, 3 conversations half finished, 100 notifications half read, and a mind that has not completed a single uninterrupted thought in years. Marcus Aurelius ruled the largest empire on earth. He commanded armies. He managed political crises. He navigated plague and war and the full weight of Roman civilization resting on his shoulders. And he wrote, in private, to himself, "Confine yourself to the present, not to the past, not to the future, not to everything simultaneously. The present, this moment, this task, this thought, this choice." That single discipline, the ability to confine himself to the present, was the source of everything he built and everything he survived. Today I am going to show you how to build that same discipline. How to become the kind of person whose focus is not just an occasional state but a permanent, practiced, daily weapon. Welcome to Wisdom Unlocked. If this is your first time here, you chose the right video on the right day. Every week on this channel we translate ancient Stoic wisdom into practical tools for the life you are actually living. Subscribe right now. Hit that button and turn on the notification bell. Because what we build here every week is something your life will be better for. Now, let's talk about dangerous focus. What dangerous focus actually is. Before we talk about how to build it, let's define it precisely. Because focus is one of those words that has been so overused, so diluted, so buried under productivity content and self-help noise that most people have lost sight of what real focus actually looks like. Dangerous focus is not concentration. Concentration is effort. You can concentrate on something you don't care about. You can force attention through willpower, and it will exhaust you, and it will fade. Dangerous focus is something entirely different. It is the complete alignment of your attention, your energy, your values, and your purpose behind a single direction. It is not forced. It is chosen, deliberately, repeatedly, reinforced by discipline until it becomes the natural state of a trained mind. The Stoics called it prosoke, self-attention. The practice of watching where your mind goes and deliberately redirecting it to where it should be. Not once, not occasionally, as a constant, daily, moment-to-moment practice. And they called it dangerous because of what it produces. A person who has mastered prosoke, who has trained their attention to stay where they place it, who can give their full energy to the task in front of them without leaking attention in 10 other directions, that person operates at a level that most people simply cannot match. Not because they are more intelligent, not because they have more time, not because their circumstances are more favorable, because they are fully here, and everyone else is partially somewhere else. Epictetus made this point with characteristic bluntness. He said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. First decide, then do. Completely. Without the constant second-guessing, the perpetual distraction, the half-hearted execution that characterizes unfocused effort. The person who gives 60% of their attention to a task for 2 hours produces far less than the person who gives 100% for 45 minutes. Not because of time, because of presence, because of the quality of attention brought to the work. This is what dangerous focus produces. Not more hours, more presence in each hour." And Seneca, who was one of the most productive human beings in the ancient world, producing an extraordinary volume of philosophical work while simultaneously managing a political career and enormous personal wealth, wrote about this directly. He wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a great deal of it. Not a short time, a wasted time, scattered across 1,000 half-attended moments, 1,000 half-finished thoughts, 1,000 distractions that consumed the hours without producing anything worth the cost." Dangerous focus is the antidote to a wasted life. It is the practice of living fully, not more, but fully in each moment you are given. And it is built one choice at a time, one returned attention at a time, one day at a time, until it becomes who you are rather than something you occasionally manage to do. The enemies of focus. To build something, you must first understand what is working against it. And dangerous focus has enemies. Specific, identifiable, deeply embedded enemies that the Stoics named with remarkable precision. 2,000 years before smartphones and social media gave those enemies their most powerful weapons in history. The first enemy is what the Stoics called polypragmasun, the disease of busyness. The compulsive need to always be doing, always be engaged, always be responding, always be moving. Not because the activity is valuable, but because stillness is uncomfortable. Because a quiet, single-pointed mind forces you to confront the things you have been avoiding by staying perpetually busy. Marcus Aurelius wrote about this with particular insight. He observed that people who are always running from one thing to the next are not productive. They are afraid. Afraid of what they would have to face if they stopped long enough to be present with themselves. And here is the cruel irony of polypragmasun. It feels like focus because it feels like effort. You are tired at the end of the day. You did many things. Your calendar was full. But when you sit down and ask what was actually built, what actually moved forward, the answer is often very little. Busy is the enemy of focused. And focused is the only thing that actually builds anything worth having. The second enemy is what the Stoics called phantasiae, false impressions. And in the modern world, this enemy has been industrialized. Every notification is a false impression demanding your attention. Every piece of social media content is a competing fantasia, designed by engineers whose only goal is to pull your focus away from wherever it currently is and redirect it toward their platform. Seneca wrote, "Retire into yourself as much as you can. Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Welcome those who you are capable of improving. The process is mutual, for people learn while they teach." Retire into yourself. Not permanently, not in avoidance of the world, but as a daily practice. The deliberate choice to not be available to every impression that arrives. To not answer every notification. To not follow every thread of thought that the external world tries to pull you down. The average person checks their phone over 150 times per day. Each check is an interruption. Each interruption breaks a cycle of focus that takes, research now confirms, an average of 23 minutes to fully restore. Do the math. Most people never experience more than a few minutes of genuine focus at a time. Their entire day is a series of beginnings that never reach depth. This is not a personal failing. This is an environment specifically designed to prevent focus. The attention economy profits from your distraction. Every second your attention is fragmented is a second it can be monetized by someone else. The Stoic response to this is not outrage. It is discipline. The deliberate construction of conditions that protect your focus from the environments designed to destroy it. The third enemy, and this one is the most dangerous because it comes from inside, is what the Stoics called acholasia, lack of self-restraint. The inability to say no to the impulse of the moment. The inability to hold to a direction when something more immediately gratifying presents itself. Every time you are working on something important and you reach for your phone because the task is getting difficult, that is acholasia. Every time you abandon a focus session because you remember something that needs to be checked or responded to immediately, that is acholasia. Every time you choose the short-term comfort of distraction over the long-term reward of completed, focused work, that is acholasia. And the Stoics were clear about where acholasia leads. Not to pleasure, to poverty. The poverty of a life where nothing important was ever completed because every important thing was eventually abandoned for something easier and more immediate. Epictetus said, "If you wish to make progress, you must be content to appear ignorant and foolish in external matters." Content to appear ignorant and foolish. Content to not respond immediately. content to not be available, content to not know what just happened on the feed, content to let the world move without you for the hours when your focus belongs somewhere else. That contentment, that willingness to sacrifice the immediate for the important, is the foundation of dangerous focus. And it must be chosen, actively and repeatedly, against the enormous pressure of an environment that rewards constant availability and punishes deep work. The Stoic tools for building focus. The Stoics were not theorists. They were practitioners. And everything they developed around focus was designed to be used daily, specifically in the real conditions of a real life. Here are the primary tools they built for developing dangerous focus. Not inspiration. Tools. Specific practices you can begin using today. The first tool is prohairesis, the deliberate choice of what deserves your attention. Before every session of work, before every block of time you set aside for something important, the Stoics would make an explicit, conscious choice about where their attention belonged. Not a vague intention. A specific, named, committed choice. Marcus Aurelius began every morning with what he called the morning preparation, a deliberate review of what the day required and what deserved his attention. He would decide, in advance, what he was giving himself to. And that decision made every subsequent distraction easier to refuse, because the attention was already spoken for. Practice this tomorrow morning. Before you check anything, before the phone, before the news, before any external input, write down one thing. One thing that deserves your full attention today. One thing that, if you gave it your complete, undivided, dangerous focus for even 2 hours, would move your life meaningfully forward. Name it. Write it. Commit to it before the day begins. And then protect it. As if your life, because in a very real sense, the quality of your life depends on it. The second tool is melody, deliberate practice. The Stoics understood that focus was not a switch you could flip. It was a capacity you developed through consistent, intentional practice. Like a muscle. And like any muscle, it responded to progressive overload, gradually increasing demands that built strength over time. Here is how to practice this. Start with 25 minutes. One task. Complete silence or neutral background sound. No phone visible. No other tabs open. No other inputs. Just you and the one thing you chose this morning. 25 minutes. Full presence. Then a 5-minute break. Then another 25 minutes. This is not a new idea, but the Stoics understood its mechanism. 2,000 years before modern productivity research confirmed it. The mind can sustain genuine focus in bursts. Trying to force focus for hours without rest produces diminishing returns. But disciplined, protected, regularly repeated bursts of complete attention, practiced daily, extended gradually over weeks and months, build a focus capacity that eventually extends far beyond those initial 25-minute windows. Start where you are, not where you think you should be, and build progressively. The third tool is a form, the removal of starting resistance. One of the most powerful enemies of focus is the friction of beginning. The moment before you sit down to do the important work is often the hardest moment. Everything in you wants to check one more thing, prepare one more thing, wait for a better moment that never comes. The Stoics dealt with this through what we might call pre-commitment. You remove the decision from the moment of beginning by deciding everything in advance. When you will work, where you will work, what you will work on, how long you will work, what distractions you will remove before you begin. When all of these decisions are made in advance, the moment of beginning requires only one choice: sit down and start. The barrier drops to almost nothing, and the work begins before resistance has time to organize. The fourth tool, and this is the one that separates dangerous focus from ordinary concentration, is telos. The clear, vivid, deeply felt sense of purpose behind the work. The Stoics believed that focus without purpose was just discipline. Useful, but limited. But focus aligned with genuine purpose, with something you care about deeply, something connected to your values and your character and what you believe your life is for, that focus has a different quality entirely. It does not require the same constant renewal of willpower. It draws from a deeper source. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A man's life is a mere moment, his existence a flux, his perception clouded, his body's composition corruptible. What then can guide a man? Philosophy alone. Philosophy. Purpose. The clear sense of what you are for and what your work is in service of. That clarity is not a luxury. It is the fuel of dangerous focus. Without it, every session of focused work is a battle against entropy. With it, focus becomes natural, an expression of who you are rather than an effort against what you are. Before you can become dangerously focused, you must be clear on what you are focused for. Not just what you are working on. What it is in service of. What it matters to. What it is building toward. And the closer that answer is to your actual values, the deeper the root of your focus will be. The morning of a dangerously focused person. Philosophy without practice is conversation. So let me show you exactly what the morning of a dangerously focused person looks like. Not in theory. In specific, sequential, time-bound practice. This is drawn directly from Stoic practice, from what Marcus Aurelius described in his journals, from what Seneca prescribed in his letters, from what Epictetus taught in his school. Adapted for your life. Usable starting tomorrow. The dangerously focused morning begins before any external input enters. Before the phone. Before the news. Before any other person's agenda, opinion, or urgency enters your mind. This is non-negotiable. Because the first input of your morning sets the tone, the direction, the frequency, the quality of your mental state for hours afterward. If the first thing your mind encounters is someone else's emergency, someone else's highlight reel, someone else's controversy, you have already given away the most valuable mental real estate of your day before you have done a single thing that matters to you. The first 10 minutes belong to you. Completely and only to you. In those 10 minutes, the Stoic morning practice. First, stillness. 60 seconds of complete stillness. No reading. No thinking about your tasks. Just the physical experience of being awake and alive. The Stoics believed this brief moment of pure presence was the foundation of everything that followed. It grounds you in the present before the day pulls you in 100 directions. Second, the single priority. Ask yourself one question. What is the one thing that, if I give it my best focus today, will make today genuinely meaningful? Not the most urgent thing. Not the most expected thing. The most important thing. Write it down. This is your anchor for the day. Every time you drift, and you will drift, this written priority is what you return to. Third, the preparation for obstacles. The Stoics called this premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of obstacles. Think briefly about what will try to steal your focus today. What meetings will run long? What notifications will feel urgent? What people will demand your attention? What emotional states might arise? See them coming. Decide in advance how you will respond. Because a decision made in advance, from a calm mind, is always better than a decision made in the moment under pressure. Fourth, the affirmation of purpose. One sentence. One clear statement of what today's focused work is in service of. Not a goal, a purpose. Why does this work matter? Who does it serve? What does it build? What kind of person does doing it make you? Speak this sentence out loud if you can. The physicality of speaking it aloud does something that silent thinking does not. It commits the decision at a deeper level. 10 minutes. 4 practices. And the day begins with a mind that is owned, directed, and ready. The dangerously focused person then protects a minimum of 2 hours, ideally in the morning when cognitive energy is highest, for their single priority. These 2 hours are treated as sacred. No meetings. No calls. No email. No social media. No interruptions. And I want to speak to the resistance that many people feel when they hear this. I don't have 2 hours. My schedule doesn't allow it. My job requires constant availability. My family needs me. My situation is different. The Stoics would ask one question in response. What is the cost of never having those 2 hours? What is the cumulative cost, over months and years, of a life where your most important work never receives your best attention? What kind of life is built on the foundation of constant availability to everyone else's priorities and zero protected time for your own? That cost is real. It shows up as work that never quite reaches its potential, as goals that are always in progress and never completed, as the quiet, persistent sense that you are perpetually busy but never truly building anything. 2 hours. Protected. Daily. For the one thing that matters most. This is not a luxury. It is the minimum investment in a life worth having. The focused response to distraction. Distraction will come. Every single day. Guaranteed. From outside and from inside. And the quality of your focus is determined not by whether distraction arrives, it always does, but by how quickly and how completely you return when it does. The Stoics had a practice for this that is so simple it seems almost dismissively simple. And yet it is the entire practice. They called it epistrophe, the return. The deliberate act of noticing that your attention has wandered and choosing, without drama or self-judgment, to bring it back. Notice. Return. Repeat. That is the entire practice. Not, notice, feel guilty, spend 10 minutes in self-recrimination about how distracted you are, make a resolution to do better, check your phone once more because you're already distracted anyway, and then try to start again. Just notice. Return. Marcus Aurelius wrote about this with striking simplicity. When his mind wandered, when the weight of the empire, the grief of his losses, the complexity of his responsibilities pulled him away from presence, he would simply name it. And return. He wrote, if your mind wanders, bring it back. And if you should lose it 1,000 times, bring it back 1,000 times. 1,000 times. Without shame. Without drama. Without treating each return as evidence of failure. Treating each return as the practice itself. Because it is. The untrained mind wanders and stays wandered. The trained mind wanders and returns. That is the only difference. Not the absence of distraction. The speed and consistency of the return. And here is something that will change how you think about distraction permanently. Every time your attention wanders and you choose to bring it back, that is a repetition. A mental repetition equivalent to a physical rep in a gym. And just as a muscle grows stronger through repeated challenge and recovery, your focus capacity grows stronger through repeated distraction and return. Distraction is not the enemy of your training. It is the medium of your training. The person who practices this return, patiently, consistently, without drama, 1,000 times a day if necessary, is building a focus capacity that is genuinely rare. Because most people treat distraction as evidence that they cannot focus. The Stoic treats it as the practice of learning to focus. There is a practical technique for managing specific distractions that the Stoics used which modern research has now validated. When an intrusive thought arrives, something you need to remember, something you're worried about, something that feels urgent, instead of either following it or suppressing it, you write it down. You capture it. You say, this is real, this deserves attention, and I will give it attention after this session is complete. Then you return to the work. The writing down does something critical. It satisfies the mind's need to not lose the thought. The primary reason intrusive thoughts persist is that the mind fears losing them if it lets them go. Once captured, the mind can release the thought and return to focus without the anxiety of forgetting. Keep a single notepad next to your workspace during focus sessions. Write every intrusive thought on it. Deal with it later. Return immediately. This simple practice eliminates one of the most common and most persistent sources of mid-session distraction. Try it for 1 week. You will not go back. Focus and the quality of your work. Here is a truth about focus that goes beyond productivity and efficiency. A truth about what deep focus does to the quality of your work and therefore to the quality of your life. Genuine, sustained, dangerous focus produces a quality of output that fragmented attention simply cannot reach. Not slightly better. Fondamentalement différent. Of a different order entirely. The Stoics understood this because they believed that every action a person takes is either a full expression of their nature or a betrayal of it. And partial attention, work done with one eye on the task and one eye on everything else, is a betrayal of what you are capable of. It produces work that is competent but never excellent. Complete but never great. Done but never truly finished in the way that work can be finished when it has received everything you had. Seneca wrote, "Let all your efforts be directed to something, let it keep that end in view." It's not activity that disturbs people, but false conceptions of things that drive them mad. Direct all your efforts to something. One thing. Let it keep that end in view. Not scattered across a dozen half-completed directions. One direction. One end. All your effort. When you work this way, when you bring your full attention, your genuine best thinking, your complete creative and intellectual capacity to a single task, the work reflects it. It has a quality that is immediately recognizable. Not just to you, to everyone who encounters it. The writing that was written in stolen minutes between distractions and the writing that was written in 2 hours of complete, protected, dangerous focus, the difference is not just in the time spent. It is in the depth of thought that was possible. The connections that were made, the quality of attention that was brought to each sentence. And readers feel that difference even if they cannot name it. The decision made in a scattered, fragmented mental state and the decision made in a calm, focused, fully present state. These are not the same decision even if the outcome appears similar. Because one was made with your full judgment available and one was made with a fraction of it. Marcus Aurelius understood this as a moral principle. He wrote about doing each thing as if it were the last thing he would ever do. Not with urgency or anxiety. With complete presence. With the understanding that this task, this moment, this person in front of him deserved everything he had, not what was left over after everything else had taken its share. This is the deepest argument for dangerous focus. Not efficiency. Not productivity. Not getting more done in less time. The argument that the work you do with your full attention is more fully an expression of who you are. And a life built from that kind of work, from tasks fully attended, from people fully listened to, from problems fully thought through, is a life of a different quality entirely than the life built from constant distraction. You were not built to skim the surface of your own existence. You were built for depth, for complete presence, for the experience of being fully here, fully engaged, fully alive in what you are doing. Dangerous focus is how you access that depth. Every single day. The evening of a dangerously focused person. The morning practice sets the direction. The daily practice maintains it. And the evening practice, the one most people skip entirely, is what makes the whole system compound over time. The dangerously focused person ends every day with a deliberate review. Not a casual reflection. A structured, honest, written examination of the day through the lens of focus. Seneca described his evening practice in his letters. He wrote that before sleep he would examine the entire day, not to judge himself, but to learn. To extract from the day's experience everything useful for the next day's practice. Here is the evening review of the dangerously focused person. The first question: where was I fully present today? Where did my focus actually land where I intended it to land? What was I doing during those moments? What conditions made them possible? This is not about celebrating. It is about understanding. If you can identify what made genuine focus possible on the days it happened, you can deliberately create those conditions more often. The second question: where did I allow my focus to be taken? Not where did my attention wander? That is inevitable. But where did I consciously allow something or someone to pull my attention from where I had placed it? What was the trigger? What did it cost? How would I respond differently tomorrow? This question requires real honesty. Because the honest answer often reveals patterns that are uncomfortable. The same person interrupting repeatedly. The same platform pulling you back despite intentions to stay away. The same internal anxiety driving you to check, to verify, to seek reassurance, instead of staying with the work. See the pattern. Name it. That naming is the beginning of changing it. The third question: what did focused work produce today that unfocused work could not have? What happened? In the quality of your thinking, your output, your connection with the people around you, that was only possible because you were fully present. This question matters because it keeps the motivation for tomorrow's focus alive. Not as abstract principle, but as lived, specific, recalled experience. And the fourth question: what is the one priority for tomorrow? Tomorrow's single most important focus. Named tonight. Written down. Ready to anchor the morning before any external input arrives. 10 minutes. 4 questions. Every evening. And over weeks and months, the compound interest of this daily review is extraordinary. You learn your own patterns with a precision that no coach or therapist or productivity system can give you. You see what works for your specific mind, in your specific life, under your specific conditions. You close the gap between intention and execution consistently, incrementally, sustainably. This is how dangerous focus becomes permanent. Not through motivation. Through the daily, honest, structured practice of examining where you were and choosing where you will be tomorrow. What dangerous focus builds. I want to close with a picture of what dangerous focus actually builds over time. Not in the abstract, in the real, tangible, life-changing terms that the Stoics understood and that anyone who has practiced this discipline deeply will recognize. Dangerous focus builds mastery. True mastery, the kind that is actually rare, actually valuable, actually irreplaceable, is not built in scattered, half-attended sessions. It is built in the accumulated hours of complete presence. The 10,000 hours that people reference is not just a quantity of time. It is a quality of attention applied consistently to a single domain over an extended period. Dangerous focus is how mastery happens. Dangerous focus builds reputation. The person who shows up fully, who listens completely, who thinks deeply, who produces work that clearly received their entire attention, that person is immediately distinguishable from everyone else. In a world of distraction, complete presence is rare enough to be remarkable. And remarkable is how reputation is built. Dangerous focus builds peace. This one surprises people. They expect focus to be effortful and draining. And initially it is, because the focus muscle is not yet developed. But as it builds, as the practice deepens, something unexpected happens. The mental noise quiets. The anxiety that comes from perpetual distraction, the low-grade stress of always being everywhere at once and never fully anywhere, begins to lift. And in its place comes something the Stoics called ataraxia, tranquility. The deep, genuine peace of a mind that is no longer at war with itself. And dangerous focus builds a life. Not the life that happened to you while you were looking somewhere else. The life you actually chose. Designed. Built deliberately and specifically from the inside out. The life that reflects who you are at your best rather than who you became by default. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Waste no more time. Be one." Today. In the quality of attention you bring to this hour and the next. That is the invitation of dangerous focus. Not perfection. Not the permanent elimination of distraction. The daily, disciplined, patient choice to be fully here. In this task. With this person. In this moment. And to keep returning. 1,000 times if necessary. Because every return is the practice. And the practice, sustained over time, builds everything worth having. If this video gave you something real today, a shift, a tool, a single idea that landed, do one thing right now. Subscribe. Hit that button. Turn on the notification bell. Because every week on this channel we go this deep into the Stoic philosophy that actually changes how you live, not just how you think about living. This is a community of people who have decided that their attention is worth protecting. That their focus is worth building. That the ancient wisdom of the greatest minds in human history is directly applicable to the most pressing challenges of modern life. There is a seat here for you. Subscribe. Share this with someone who needs to reclaim their focus. And come back next week. Because this work continues. And so do you. Stay disciplined. Stay present. Stay free.